All right. Well, hey, welcome to another edition of CNI Solutions here in Huntsville, Alabama. We appreciate you all logging on. I am Les, my producer tonight, so you'll see me moving my hands around, doing a little bit of everything. We have I should say, special guest with us tonight, Mr. Teague.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Teague, welcome to here to CNI Solutions in Huntsville. So tell us a little bit about yourself there, Mr. Teague.
Well, I could just start with the beginning. My name is Shannon Teague. I'm from Mobile, Alabama. Been in Huntsville for 15 years now. I started out in engineering, worked for Lockheed Martin for 9 of those years, then worked for KBR Wally for the remainder of those years. And eventually, because of political, issues, I thought it would be best to start working for myself to see what that looks like and what that world looks like for me.
Right.
So in the meantime, before I even started a full-time for myself, I used to go paint. I started out painting on a fluke. Everything seems like I did was a fluke, but it worked out for the best.
Right.
I used to actually I started doing taxes, and I wanted to do taxes because I want to learn how the tax codes and how to make things work for me financially. And I said to myself, where can I go to find the most amount of people in one location? So I went to apartment complexes, gave them the amenity that I'll give them free consultations with the hope of getting their business.
Right.
But I didn't get business that way though, but I wind up getting new business through being a potential cleaner for them. And they was like, a lady would fuss for a whole week about, these guys would tell me when to come clean and never would show up. So I heard her for a week and I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I walked in the office and I said, hey, I'll clean for you. And she saw me in my bow tie and my slacks, and that's what I wore every day. And she said, you won't. So I came back the next day with insurance, everything she needed. She said, are you serious? I said, yeah, I'm serious. And she saw that I cleaned very well and did good work. And then she said, can you paint? I'm like, yes, I can paint.
Right.
Never painted a day in my life. So I went in there and she said, I painted one of the units for her. And she said, I stayed in there for so late. My wife started calling me because I painted it one time and didn't like it. So I did it all over again in the same night. And she said, so she came in the next day and assessed my work. And she said, this looks good. I said, yes, it does look good. And she said, can you do one of my sister properties for me? I said, sure. And so I got so engulfed in that as far as doing the cleaning and the painting, because my first company was called Teague's Maintenance and Teague's Cleaning Service.
Right.
And then when I changed it to Teague's Maintenance, because people start thinking that all I got to do is clean. So I went and involved that to taking in painting, cleaning, reglazing countertops, spraying them, anything you pretty much need, mudding, sheetrocking. I learned it doing in apartment complexes because you go to the worst apartments, you're going to find an array of things that you're going to have to be very skilled in to make it look pretty. Right. So my goal was, how do I make this look good? When I walk out the door, it looks pristine.
Right. And so when you name your business, you found that you had to make some changes when it came to the name later on.
Yes.
Well, because the customers that you kind of started to expand.
I started to expand.
And so you kind of pigeonhole yourself in the beginning. I think that's the phrase that people use when it comes to business names and what you can do, the entity and what you're able to do.
Correct.
So how difficult was that for you to make that change? It
wasn't very hard because once your name is out there and you do good work, most people are going to send like other complexes your information. And they'll say, well, he's cleaning. They just clean. Like, no, he actually paints too. So let him come in, let him do his work, and you'll see how good he really is. Right. And so before you know it, they'll do the marketing for you, and your walls and your work will do the marketing for you. So they'll know that you. But I decided, instead of having to go through those changes every time I got explained, let me just make the transition to Teague's Maintenance and Renovation. That's where I'm at now. Right. And so when I made that change, it worked out for the best because I started doing like pressure washing. I started doing a lot of things. Then you learn how to what I call a pivot.
Okay.
In my work in the industry, everything ebbs and flows. And there are times in apartment complexes when they have their heat season when things are just moving. You got to keep going. Then things slow down. So I started out, okay, where can I go where I got consistent amounts of work? That's when I went to the Arsenal. Well, that was a convention. That was the unique way to get there too. It didn't go directly to the Arsenal. I went there roundabout. So what I said, okay, let me just start. I did what I call business development day with my daughter. I take her to show her what I do, how I communicate, I think it's important to teach our kids skills because
Right.
it's not a no, it's how do I get to the yes. And if you don't figure that out at a young age, you're going to hear a lot of no's and you're just going to accept it. And so I went into this lady's office in Decatur. I'm not going to tell you the name of the company or the apartment.
Okay.
And I said, hey, I gave her my name. My name is Shannon Teague. I have a painting business, among many other things, pressure washing, whatever you need. I would like to be someone who can support you.
Mm-hmm.
She said, well, I got a painter already. Okay, and I'm sure you might need a backup just in case your painter gets busy, you get sick, flu. No, we don't need any backup. And I was persistent, I must say. I mean, and so I went back and again, I told her something else. And she said, you know what? There's someone around the corner who needs you. Just go see them. They could use you. She just blew me off. Right. And so God has a way of doing things, even the negative things that people do. Because my daughter asked me, she said, why did you let that lady talk to you in that manner? I said, I can't allow her to think I see myself the way she sees me. Mm-hmm. And my daughter said, I understand. Because regardless of what someone else done and how they act, don't mean you got to respond in the same manner.
Right.
And I can go back and shake her hand and thank her because she led me to the person. I went into the next building where she sent me, and then the lady was like, I miss my old maintenance supervisor. I said, where do you go? He's on the Arsenal. I said, I need his number. Got his number, wound up getting in there on the Arsenal, and I've been there ever since, painting all their government housing for the soldiers. So that really sprung my paint business off to another level.
So you didn't start. You've been pivoting quite a lot. It seems like
I pivot.
But you know what? That's a good thing. One of the things here at C&I Solutions that we do, we teach an entrepreneurship class, and that's one of the things you got to work towards narrowing down what works. Mm-hmm. In that, you have to gather the data. Correct. Some people gather data in their heads, but we ask people to put it in writing. Mm-hmm. What's working and what's not working. Correct. You know, the longer you stick with what's not working, the quicker you're going to end up, financially ruined or something of that nature. Your business is going to go under, period, right? Yes. But I hear a lot of difficulties along the way, and that's letting the viewers know who are interested in starting a business, that there are going to be difficulties. So one of the conversations that you and I had, and the viewers understand this prior to us coming on air, was this. You're a graduate of?
Tuskegee University.
That's right, Tuskegee University, right?
Proud of the swift growing South.
So in your major is what?
Electrical engineering.
Electrical engineering. Is it profitable, that field?
Yes, very profitable.
Yeah. So, but ultimately, what drove? I'm not trying to pull out of you what happened, but what's the feeling that you had that made you say, I'm doing this myself?
Well, there are several. I can give my kids DHR transport. I can give my kids Teague's maintenance and renovation. Mm-hmm. I can give my kids Teague's tech consultants. Mm-hmm. I can't give them Lockheed Martin. It's already owned by someone. So that's one. Secondly, all my kids are homeschooled. They have seen entrepreneurship since day one. Mm-hmm. So I know that they might go into the industry, but I also want to give them a balanced view of what it means to work hard. What a balanced view to know, it's easy to probably go work with someone because it's less stress. There's a lot of less avenues hoops you gotta jump through. Just go to work, do your job. Hopefully it works out for you. Now, there are certain situations that for political reasons or whatever, it might not work out. And you got to be able to make that choice and say, it's been a great business decision to work for you for this time, but it's time for me to move on. And if you don't have those options, you're left to whatever whim the world brings to you. Right. You're left to that. And so my thing was, do I want to be where someone can decide whether I eat and whether I pay my bills and take care of my kids? And my thing is, I have more power now than I did working for corporate America.
Okay. I think we got some comments up here. Like I said, everyone, our producer is not here tonight, and I'm doing a couple of things, but I do want to ask you. Essentially, you felt as though you were your vision and your life story was at the mercy of someone else.
Correct.
And you didn't control your own destiny in a sense.
You do, but you don't. Because when the world shifts, let's say a recession, there are going to be cuts. Right. You need to be prepared for those cuts.
Right.
It has taught me to be more hands-on with how my future is handled. If you're not hands-on and you're assuming that your job is going to take care of you, I'm not going to say that your job won't. I'm going to say you need to make sure you got more hands-on than you think you do, because there's a chance a rift could come through and your number will come up, and you got to be ready to pivot and ready to go in another direction. And if you're not prepared for that,
So how did COVID affect you?
COVID didn't affect me at all, because I was painting houses on the Arsenal. I didn't have to be around anybody.
Okay.
It didn't affect me at all. I mean, not at all.
Okay. Now, Shannon, you mentioned some other things that you do, and one of the things that Shannon mentioned off air, and I think he kind of mentioned it also since he's been on air, is that something in the financial sector.
Yes,
right?
I love doing stocks and investments. I'm heavily into that.
Okay, stocks and investments.
Yes.
Okay,
I can give you the story. I would tell his name, but I didn't ask him for me to throw his name out there. But he's a wonderful guy. Me and this guy worked modeling simulation and for the government, and we were on our way to GTRI. He said, "DeMarco, are you into stocks?" I said, "No, it's too hocus pocus. I just don't understand it. It's too far fetched for me." He said, "You understand it better than you think." I said, "How do you know that, sir?" And you're a good guy. Good guy. He said, "I know that you like Apple." I said, "How you know?" I mean, you got the phone. And so people understand stocks and investments better than they think. They're just not applying it to the actual market and what they're willing to invest and put their money into. So if they understand where they put their money, some people love Target. They go there, they spend their money. They go to Amazon. They go there, they spend their money. They like these nice cars, which means they like NVIDIA that make the microchips that go inside these cars. If they started thinking where everywhere they look around in the world, they see money everywhere. The question is, are you willing to take your money and invest it where you own a piece of the company instead of being a consumer? There's nothing wrong with being a consumer, but you must have a budget and you must put your money while it's sitting. I put it to you like this. Someone has put it to me in this way. He said, if you got a bunch of guys working for you and y'all are digging ditches, but all these guys are put their shovel down and they're watching you dig the ditch and you're the boss. Would you be upset? What you're doing with your money? You're working hard for your money instead of your money sweating for you. So you should be upset. If your money is not in a position where it's making money, you should be upset.
I have started, well, I've had interest before, even when the internet. I used to purchase money magazines and just sit down and just study and just read, just trying to get that itch and then scratch that itch when it comes to putting my money out to work for me, right? That was always the thing. Goodness, I bartering and trading is one thing, but I didn't know anyone that's going to give me corn and I give them watermelon or something like that, right? And I didn't really like the farming part, so I said, "Hey, I need some money to start working for me." So I have recently reinvested some time. When it comes to the market, right? And but how do you make your choices? But before that, just so that whoever's putting the questions out there, the messages, right? Pivoting is very important, right? Important. And that is, I know that's one thing we did hit on. And it says, what drove you to become an entrepreneur? We actually kind of touched on that as well. And for those who want to be entrepreneurs, and I've been in the space, and now I'm out of as far as being an entrepreneur. But the hunger is coming back, right? The hunger, and there are those who say once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur, right? But
I would say that. I would agree.
You would agree? Okay.
My wife would definitely agree, because she said as soon as you master one thing, you're gonna go on to something else. I'm never gonna. She said, I said, "You think I need to stop?" She said, "You're never gonna stop." That's the way you're built. I like the field. Right. I like the field, and I like the opportunities that it's about. Another thing that CNI Solutions, and I not doing a comparison, but one thing we like to ask is CNI Solution has what we do. We work with the low and moderate income neighborhoods, right? People who are in those areas. And it's about giving back, because CNI Solution is a nonprofit, right? Yes, sir.
So have you gotten to that point yet where you're putting that effort out there to give back?
It's where I create the world for that. It's like, for example, DHR Transport started out as I want to do something with my family member, brother-in-law of mine. Now I don't know if I can say this on here, but I told my wife I wanted the Lord to bless it so I can bless others.
Yes, absolutely.
Meaning,
Yes.
I wanted to be able to start a program where I feed the community around my church, which is the Village Church right there up Virginia Street in Oakwood. So my thing is I want to have a face in that community, and the best way to have a face in that community is feed people, not just to come to speak to them about the gospel, because although they need it, but to start it out with, let me feed you, let me get to know you. And then I can feel like I got a better relationship with you. Not to say, hi, I want to help you, but let me get to know you. And I think that's what most problem happens in the world. People come in and they think they know the answers to people's problems when you really don't know.
Right.
Get to know them and let them tell you what the answers are.
Wow. That's one of the things. And I'm sounding like Charles Fry right now, but for those of you who are wondering, where's Charles, right? We've had a couple of technical things to go wrong today, but hey, we're here. But he's on the road right now, right? And since you mentioned about that, right? So one of the things that we placed on our desktop here, our tabletop, was to make sure that we always mention about giving. So we have our love campaign for those who are viewing, who don't know, who haven't given, who still want to give, who want to be able to say, to feel, and to that they not only just received but gave back to the community this holiday season. We are still accepting donations. Donation, go to cnisolutions.org. That's cnisolutions.org, and you can donate in many different ways in the name of and things of that nature. So we're steadily moving ahead just so we can give back when it comes to that. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I wanted to answer that person's question in more detail. It said, what drove you to become an entrepreneur? What drove me to be an entrepreneur is that I can give people skills. If I can give you money, that's going to take care of you for a short period of time. If I can give you a job, give you a skill, you'll eat for a lifetime. So in most cases that people come work for me, they usually go off to start their own business. I take them downtown, show them how to get a business license. I deal with people who have never experienced these things and walk them through cut down the tree so they can walk through the path. That's my ultimate goal. Now, some of it's selfish, because if I teach you how to be a great painter, when I need help, I can always call you and I know you're going to do good work. So that's one of my goals, is to teach as well as educate, so you can have sure footing, if that, for the lack of better words.
Yeah, I think that the general consensus, people who don't think in a more broader scope would say, yeah, that's selfish. But look at the maximum potential of that. Right. That person going on to start their own business, and also being an integral part of their own community.
Correct.
Giving back. Correct. Being that example that our youth need today. Right. So there's nothing selfish about that. That's just my part about it. There's, you got to broaden your thought process when it comes to that. It's like, investing in stock. The more you invest, the more you make, the more you can go to cnisolutions.org and donate.
And you asked me, how do you know what stocks to invest in?
Yes.
Well, they're what they call blue chips. Everybody will say, buy low, sell high. The market now is down. Apple is down. All the stocks. Amazon is down. Nvidia is down. The reason why I know they're down, because my portfolio is down. But this is where you're supposed to jump in. Don't wait for you want it on sale, not clearance. It's on sale. So those are stocks. And then look at where you spend most of your money. If you're going to invest in Target, all these various other companies that you just in your local sphere. Those are the things you go look on the internet and say, okay, what's the ticker symbol? And how do I go buy it? You can use any platform. You use TD Ameritrade, Fidelity. It doesn't matter. Right. But get on there, find those ticker symbols, and then you start buying. Now, there's a system of buying that I use as far as averaging in and averaging out. So, because you don't want to just go in and spend all your money at one time, because things tend to go down and up. And the more you average down, and your dollar cost average goes down with it. So you don't want to spend all your money, because let's say you got $1,000. You spend $1,000 on Apple and buying all the shares. If it goes down, how do you average down when you're out of money? So you can't. So what you do is you average up little by little, and then there's a science to that too, which mathematically in which I use to do it. So it's a lot more in detail, but average in and average out. I often talk to people like it's like going out on a date with a girlfriend.
Okay.
If you buy a stock, and it's like going on a girlfriend, and you're holding hands on the first day, meaning I multiply $10 times 0.025. And if it goes up to whatever that number is, she's holding my hand. That's a good date. And if she goes up, that means we're going to go on another date. And if we keep having a good time, we're going to keep averaging up with it. The moment she have a bad hair day, I might have to pull back.
Okay.
And that means she's not continuing to go up. She's just flatline or she's going sideways. So that's how I envision when I say buying a stock. You don't just keep buying. You let the stock keep giving, then you buy more. That way you don't go broke.
Okay. All right. Good. Interesting analogy. Right. I'm gonna try to go back home and try to remember that analogy. Right. But one of the things that I've been doing, and I know Shannon has how many different businesses do you currently?
I say 3.
3 businesses, right? This is just one of the things he decides to do on the side, but he's making real decisions, not decisions just based off of emotions, right?
No.
So the EV market is a market that's I think it's a growing market.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I've been researching is
Tesla.
Yes and no.
Okay.
And right, what's inside of Tesla?
Oh, the batteries.
Right, batteries especially.
Lithium.
Yeah, there's one that's coming that's different than what's in it. That's supposed to be give it longer distance, right? And
yes.
I'm looking at the companies who are doing that. Not only that, the processors and things of that nature. Those support items. There's this country that begins with a C. A lot of people don't like them, and there's an H and there's an I in it, and right. And so they have some EVs that it's like a lot of the things that we use every day.
Correct.
We import a lot, right? We're not importing that right now, but they have some interesting pieces of equipment that's over there that's being released in the European market, and I've purchased some stock, 1 or 2 here and there, in interest, right? Whether they get held back from broadening their market is a different thing. So they've taken a little whipping as well. There have been some that have been coming out in the quarters, right, that have been really doing well, but overall, right. And there's been one that this guy named that handles Sam's works. What's that guy named? Not Bill Gates. The guy that has a small house, right? Oh gosh, I'm looking at his face. But him, right? He was invested in one. Then all of a sudden he started selling some shares, right? And then everybody ran like a banshee, right? They just took off and said, "Hey,
Warren Buffett, is it?
That's the guy." Okay. Yeah, Mr. Buffett. Right. So Mr. Buffett. So I try to pay attention to those things, so hopefully we can get a side conversation on that.
Okay.
But let's get back, because I don't want to take all that time, and I know there's some of you out there that want to invest, but just can't find or have not found the time to learn some of the intricacies of the market.
It's not that. It's most people don't have a system of approach to investing. There are many out there. I just know the one that works for me.
Okay.
Also, it's oftentimes people won't let you peek behind the curtain to see how they're doing it.
Yeah.
And the moment that you allow someone or you bump into the right person that will allow you to peek behind the curtains, your eyes are open. Some people don't have access to information. Like I give you a prime example. Something just happened to me recently. I was invited to be a part of this group of people that do options. They do spread options on TD Ameritrade. I mean, what they call Think and Swim is the platform. And this guy was winning. And so I said, "Can I come back tomorrow?" He said, "Sure, I'll be here doing this every day at the same time." I came back. I went 30 days in a row. This guy won 24 days in a row. Missed on the 25th. And I told him, I said, "Sir, I came here every day to see when you're going to lose or miss on your options, to see your mannerisms, how you handle it." He wasn't shook at all. That's when I knew that man knew what he was doing. And he taught me that. So I'm on day number 11 winning.
Wow.
Now, only time I missed is when the Fed messed with the rates. When they say they're going to up them, the last time they upped them, I did not know they was going to move, and I didn't know how the impacts. But I know today I didn't do any options because they were supposed to mess with the Fed rates.
Right. I
stayed out. So that's one of my rules. Fed's involved, no options for you.
Right.
So
I'm going to ask, right? So what falls under the options? What falls under that area?
Well, I do S&P 500 every day. That's it. That's all I do. S&P 500. SPX is the ticker symbol. I bet on the put side and the call side. On the top, bet it's gonna go down. Bet it won't go down. Bet it won't go up to a certain number. And I pray that the market stays in the middle, so I win on both sides every time.
Okay.
And I've been pretty consistent for 11 days in a row.
Mm.
So that's something that I would like to introduce at some point to the world.
Right.
The system and the process.
Right.
Because I believe rising tides raise all boats. Some people make you pay for these things. I think it should be given.
Rising tides raise. Gotcha. Right.
Because
Gotcha.
if I'm broke and I don't have no money, I can call you, sir, and ask you for some money because I know you got it. So,
ding ding dong. So, what would you? So, one thing.
Yes, sir.
In your business, how can the viewers get a hold of you if they need your services? Right?
Well, number one, DHR Transport 1221 at gmail.com is the best way to get at me right now because that's the one thing I'm really pouring a lot of my energy into.
Okay.
tcs.hsv at gmail.com is my painting business. So you can also reach me there.
Okay.
So
all right. Yeah, if you did not get that, just do message us and we'll get you that information so you can get in contact. But some of you might want to know more about the financial market. He's not quite giving that information out yet. And so I'll let you know how it goes. Okay.
Not a problem.
Not a problem.
I'm glad to help.
Great. So being an entrepreneur,
yes,
right?
Sir.
What would you tell someone who wants to get started? Because right now I'm doing a class, right? And I'll tell you what, we have some folks in there. I'll tell you what, I'm really enjoying the entrepreneurship class. And tomorrow night we have we do an hour and a half twice a week, right? And tomorrow we have what we call a guest speaker that's going to come in and kind of talk to our budding entrepreneurs, right? Who are, they're asking questions and, that person will give their story and they're asking questions, what it takes, right? So what can you say? What can you tell the audience?
Mr. Fambi, I want to start by thanking you for allowing me to come in and speak. Mr. Fry asked me to come. I was kind of apprehensive because I'm like, what would I say? So you've done a great job to actually bring out whatever I was going to say because it's not normal for someone to ask me to come in and speak.
Right.
But to answer your question, I tell people all the time before you start a business, make sure your capital is right because you need to self-protect. I'll give you an example. My engineering job money was Patience's money. That's my wife.
Okay.
You don't mess with her money.
Right.
So what I did was, how can I improvise to make sure that if I want to start a company, that it doesn't impact her money. So I went and got a FedEx job, got up at 3:00 in the morning, loaded packages on a bill until I raised enough money to start my tax business.
Okay.
It didn't impact her at all. Her money, all the budget stayed in place. I just added that money to the right place to start my own business.
Okay.
Then when I evolved into doing the paint business, I always made sure I had enough capital to evolve and transition. If you don't make sure that you plan to fail, you will fail. And you will start your business all over again if you don't have enough capital. You need capital.
So you hear that out there, viewers, and that's one of the things that we're in week 2 of our sessions, right?
Correct.
And one of the things that I asked the starters, the people who are in the class, I asked them I gave them a spreadsheet. I said, outline your budget. I said, outline your expenses. Do you know your expenses? Where's your money at? Where's your money going? And so they're working that part right there. I told them, I don't want to know the numbers.
Correct.
I need for you to know the numbers.
Yes.
And when you know the numbers, you understand where you're going.
Correct.
What if you have any, whether it's disposable income or you're leaking like a Sith, as we call it, somewhere and you don't realize it. Right. McDonald's might be eating you up. Or whatever it is that's eating you up, more money is going out than definitely is coming in. And then I also tell them about, do you have time? Do you have time to do a business?
Yes.
Where are you going to find that time in your schedule? So we talk about their schedule. You need to outline. If you're already telling me that, well, I don't have time to do this budget, then how are you going to have time to do your own business? Because more than likely, you can't afford to stop working right now.
You make time
Mhm.
for what you want to.
For what you want to.
When I first started,
Mhm.
I was painting in the middle of the night. I still had my engineering job. And so my wife was asking, I said, we going to Jamaica. She said, how are we going to Jamaica? I said, compliments of Teague's Maintenance and Renovations. Because I had painted enough walls to make enough money for us to go to Jamaica every year. You know?
Right.
Then I started putting my money in places where it made money. And we went off of the investments I made in the stock market. There's a thing called living statically and living dynamic. I'm going to throw his name is Jeff Bolden. The guy taught me a lot.
All right.
He told me this thing about living statically and living dynamically. Statically is when you take your money that you made from your daily job and you're going to take it and you're going to spend it on something going to Jamaica. Dynamically is when you take the money that you put into the market, it makes money, and then you go to Jamaica and you really ball out. You do what you really want to do and you live free, because when you know when you get home, your bills are going to be paid and your money's still intact because you still have your money. You still have your money because you didn't spend the money that you worked hard for, but you made money in the market. There's a difference. People live statically. They're happy to spend the money that they work for on their job. Me, if there's no room for it, Shannon's not going.
Right.
If I don't make the money in the market, I don't do any extra things.
Right.
So I definitely invest a lot. I make sure I'm investing.
Right. That's good. That's the way to go. I know that there are many out there who think that way in a sense, right?
It's a reshaping of the mind. It had to be reshaped.
Right.
And Jeff Bolden taught me, but also he modeled it. I saw him do things from just being around him. I'm like, how are you able to do that? I said, investing. And I said, he said, it didn't cost me anything. I just invest. I put my money in. Well, if I tell that story, it's going to put his business in the street. So I'm not going to tell that story.
Okay. Oh, don't tell that
story.
But
we were riding from Huntsville to GTRI. And he said, hey, man, tell me how much Apple is up. And he said a number. He said, oh, that ain't bad for one day. I said, oh, that's awesome. How you doing that? He said, just put my money in the right place. And kept riding. On the way back, he said the same. He said, tell me how many points Apple is up. I said, another certain number. He said, yeah, that ain't bad for 2 days of driving them. I said, how are you doing this? And it just threw me off. And once he modeled it and I saw how he was doing it, it changed my life. Wow. It changed. My kids understand stocks and investments.
Oh, wow. Great.
They understand options. They understand what it means to invest. And not only that, I take them on road trips. We went to Disney. I took the girls on a girls trip to Disney, and we just went out and we had fun. But I wanted to show them what hard work and discipline does. If you don't model it, it would never be caught. You have to model it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to cry. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what? Our communities need to hear that because there's a lot of income that flows, monies of type that flows through our communities, and we miss that. And it ends up being passed on to to different dynamics, suburbs, wherever it may be. It gets passed on. And it never comes back to our communities. And that's one of the things that we have to do better at. And if we are not getting it, and one of the main things that I just enjoyed you saying was that your children, right? That's another generation that's changing the times.
Well, they don't have a stipend for old people. They got to move on.
Right. Yeah.
So, and Social Security is not that number for me. So, so I train them to be independent. Like I said, they're homeschooled. They get up and they get their own lesson on their own. Now, mom is there to help. My patient's done a wonderful job with them, but they get their own lesson. They'll tell you what they got to do for the day.
Right.
And they get it. My son gets there at 5 o'clock in the morning. He gets started on his schoolwork. And so he's done. Oh, wait, no, he's doing that with purpose. Okay. So he got his whole day to himself. No,
I'm still working on that. When I get home, I'll let my kids hear this part.
So he has a strategy.
Right.
But at the same time, homeschooling does teach us independence.
Right.
So most kids who are homeschooled, when they go to college, they really
they excel.
They excel because they're independent.
That's good. That's good. Homeschooling. Yeah. We're gonna come back to that. So, hey guys, we appreciate everyone out there that's watching. We will be back to our regular show next week. When I say regular, that's our intro and our outro, right? Because this technician right here is a little bit behind the power curve, right? So, Mr. Teague, I thank
sir.
you very much. Is anything else that you would like to leave? Normally we ask that of the guest every week, and then when we click in broadcast, they be like, "Oh, well, I should have said that." So I'm going to be like, I'm going to give you two seconds to think about it.
No, I would tell everyone, if you want to be an entrepreneur, be courageous, plan, strategize, make sure you have capital, because everything I've ever done, I've never done it without a safety net.
Mm-hmm.
I was just telling him before the broadcast that I blew out both of my knees a year ago this month, and I had to live off my investments for a whole year. So if you budget, you plan, and you invest, it would save you. There's no way I could have took care of my family for a whole year, for almost a year, without investing.
Yeah.
So
right, and those it's sounds simple, but I think you said earlier it's about some mindset.
It's a mindset.
Mindset in order to get to that level. Mindset and action. Mm-hmm. Should I say that?
But you said it perfectly. If you establish a budget and you know where your money is going,
right,
it'll change. And when I started eating out every day, and I looked at the budget and I realized how much was going to fast food, I said, "Oh no, time out." Because for me, for all six of us to go out to eat, it's $100 plus.
Yes, sir.
Oh no, we eat at home. My wife is vegan. We got some beans and some rice and some nice quality food at home.
Yes, sir.
Waiting on us. Yes.
Yeah. I that's a struggle, because as I was coming in tonight, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to stop at such and such a restaurant and pick up some food on my way home, right?
Don't convict me now. I might be a hypocrite when I leave here, but yeah, I understand your point.
Yeah, but I said, Brewster, there's food at home. Why do you need to do that at this point? Because I have some. Yeah, it's not to say that you don't enjoy the fruits of your labor, but organized that you're enjoying, right? Until you get to that level where you can just splurge. Yeah, you can splurge, and that moment of splurging has not affected your family.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So that I truly understand. So folks and viewers that are out there, do check out Mr. Shannon Teague and all of his many businesses that he has out there. Maybe it's something that you all can work together on. I tell you what, I'm sure he spoke about scaling, right? And I'm sure there's some scaling still that's left to be done that's out there in your world, right? So yes, sir, go ahead.
If you know anyone who has a CDL who's interested in driving and being going over the road, please give me a call. DHR Transport is waiting on him.
There you go. That's right. I find, good Lord, I know I'm supposed to be going off air, and I am. I find that particular business is that there's space for everyone.
You can branch off. I started with a dually truck and a 5-car haul. Now I got a box truck. It just keeps going on, and you can keep expanding. It's not limited,
because I was in a particular business recently, and the shelves were like, my goodness. I know that many largest business and small are saying the workers, we don't have the staffing, and then it's hard to get staffing, and but I know that there was, especially during COVID, there was an issue with the movement of product, the transportation industry. So I know that there's a ton of work out there in the transportation side.
There's plenty.
Yeah.
Plenty of work.
So cool deal. So thank you very much once again for coming on. Right. So viewers out there, just remember, okay, that your yesterday is not your today, and your today is not your tomorrow. Have a good night. Like I said, we won't have that outro tonight. Good night.